Welcome to Team Perry's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Perry and Lori Finkelstein. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
Jay Glazer, who is very big with the NFL, very big apparently in the sports world. We are baseball fans, specifically Met fans, so we've never had the pleasure of encountering you. We're not into the NFL football, but we're very interested in meeting you regardless, because we are sports people and we get it. So we wanted to find out a little bit more about what you do and how did you get into this business? Were you a football player as a young kid, and that's what gave you the love of football and the NFL? So maybe we could start with that and find out how you got there.
Well, first of all, Ken, I'm honored to be here. Anytime I could be in the presence of somebody who goes after things and realizes that, what makes you different could actually lead to success, I love doing that.
Oh.
And so I'm honored to be here. And look, I started in covering the Giants in 1993. First friend I ever had was Michael Strahan. We met, first day on the job, and we've become brothers ever since. And you always have to, for me, I rely on my relationships a lot. But all the way back then, I walked in the Giant locker room. The biggest media members in the world were all there in New York. And I said, well, I can't beat them at what they're doing. How could I be different? So that's really kind of been the theme for my whole career and life, is how could I be different? And, I've covered the NFL now since 93. Now I'm my 17th or 18th year, I forget, at Fox NFL Sunday with myself, Howie Long, Terry Bradshaw, Jimmy Johnson, Michael Strahan, and Kurt Menefee. And that's a football family for me, which I love them. They are, I say we're family. Family comes in a lot of different forms and doesn't always have to be blood. They are family. We've been best man at each other's weddings, in a lot of weddings. Godfather of our children. It's been really great. Throughout that also, we got inducted in the Television Hall of Fame last year, 2 years ago, which for me, I'm a kid from Jersey. I still can't believe I'm still waiting to wake up in fifth grade. None of this stuff has happened. So I've made my career breaking news in the NFL. I've branched out now, mixed martial arts, coach people. I host now for Bellator, mixed martial arts. I have a charity called MVP, Merging Vets and Players. We're trying to put together former combat vets, former athletes who are struggling in the transition. I have a performance center in LA called Unbreakable. I was on a TV show as an actor this year for the last 5 years called Ballers. So I'm kind of my ADD leads me to go do a whole bunch of things. So I don't let it hold me down. I use it to my advantage. And, that's why I like being around people like you. You're not letting your situation hold you down. You're using it for an advantage. I get offered to do a million podcasts and a million radio shows, a million TV shows. But when I got your request and you came out there and showed me how different you were, I was like, wow, I'm going to learn something from her by going on with her. I'm going to be honored to go on that show.
Wow, that's so amazing. So Jay, we first heard of you, really heard of you, when we were interviewing Haley Page. And we looked at a bunch of her gowns, and there's this gorgeous gown. It's stunning and it's beautiful. And he said, she said, this is the Glazer gown. And we said, oh, that's so cool. How did you think of that name? So my big question, you're a big guy, very manly, football player, NFL. You have these big football player friends. How did you get a wedding gown named after you?
Hey, I'm in touch with my feminine side.
I know. I want to hear that.
Feminist in the world.
It's a really pretty gown.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gown, right, Perry? And it's a power knit fabric, also the Glazer fabric. It's funny. Again, we're always looking about how can we do different. Haley and I are really, really, really close friends. And one day we kind of came up with this idea. I was like, it would really tick my friends off if I had my own wedding gown. It would really upset The Rock and Strahan and all these people if I had my own wedding gown. She's like, what a great idea. So she makes me my own gown. She posts it, and sure enough, everything you could hope for. Bam. The Rock posting right away. Please, Haley, please, you seem like a nice girl. Do not give him his own, wedding gown. And then Strahan starts getting on me. And wherever I go, I'm always trying to bring the fun. You got to laugh. No matter what in life, you have to laugh. So this, I was able to get a laugh, but also out of it, yeah, I got a great wedding gown named after me.
That's so funny.
Yep.
It's funny because she actually did a gown, a Perry gown.
Oh, you're kidding me.
But not it's a Perry, different spelling, but she told Perry she was going to send her a sketch, I guess when the whole thing is over with quarantine and getting back to the studio, a sketch of that she had made of the gown, which would be awesome. And she's also very into Fleetwood Mac songs. And Perry's middle name is Rhiannon, which is after Fleetwood Mac song. So,
oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, we felt some kind of connection with that. So, yeah.
I want to interview you for a second. Perry, how have you dealt with the COVID?
In the whole life, I've been quarantined one way or another, between the national surgery I had throughout my life. I had quarantine for 5, 6 months, or 2 weeks, or, so this is not, I don't think I ever quarantined for 6 months straight without going to the doctor. But, it's still, I still understand it, and it's not really affecting me as much because I know what it's like, and I know what I have to do.
So, what she's saying is she's been quarantining her whole life.
Right, I understand that. Yeah.
Right. So we were actually
she had a leg up on us, really.
Right. So, and now you people see our life. We we knew it was coming because her doctors said, beforehand, look, Perry, she's in school, she's constantly going to classes. You're going to have to switch to online learning because this isn't going to, cut it. And we were ready to tell her university, we have to stay at home. So we knew this was happening. So Perry had the smarts to know that she has an addiction to Starbucks decaf mocha latte with soy. So the first thing she said was, look, before we go into quarantine, before there's a problem, I have to get my own espresso machine. So that's what we got, and that's what's really gotten her through quarantine.
Good.
So we were smart in that sense.
Yeah.
But
see, we could learn from you. Again, you never know why things happen in life. You always say, don't try and figure life out. It'll drive you crazy, right? But it's how we look at things. It's what we could learn from each other. And there's beauty everywhere. It's really a beautiful world if you open your eyes up. And this just here, meeting you is beautiful for me.
Oh, thank you so much. So Jay, we're talking about stepping out of line. And as I mentioned to you, Perry has raised over $600,000 with her team for Children of High Lifeline, which is the charity we raise money for.
$600,000?
Yes. And it's been
oh my God.
11 years. This will be Perry's 10th year coming up of running in the Miami Marathon, assuming it doesn't get canceled, which we're assuming it's going to go through, hopefully. And what Perry does is I push her through about mile 11 in the marathon, and then we get her out of her jogging stroller, which is like a special needs jogging stroller, and then she goes in her walker, which is a gait trainer, and she tries to walk the last mile and a half.
Wow.
And we have a fantastic time. We have so much fun. We have friends who do it with us. We have Nelson Figueroa, who's a teammate who's been doing it for 5 years. This will be his 5th year. We have so much fun doing it, and we raise a lot of money for kids. And Perry pushes herself. She's had to open up herself to people, telling about her situation that she's in, how it's like to be her, because unless you are willing to open up your heart and yourself, nobody really understands what we go through. So in your world, in your life, how have you stepped out of line? And if you don't mind sharing with all of us, because I know it's very personal, how you stepped out of line and how this has affected you, good or bad.
I'd love to talk about that. And what you do, Perry, I try and, we have this charity, and I'm constantly trying to teach people about be proud of their scars, right? Use their scars. My scars are what makes me different. And again, different is good. Different leads to success. You're different. Okay, that's why you're successful. That's why you've raised $600,000. That's incredible what you've done. And for me, I'm an open book. Like I know, like I suffer from severe depression and anxiety, have my entire life, always living in the gray. And I talk about it. I talk about it openly to help others. I have a big platform to help others, to show that they're not alone, to show there's nothing wrong with it. My depression pushes me to be successful, pushes me too far and hard a lot of the times. But again, I always kind of look at it like this makes me different. You know, my scars, whenever I go, and it's interesting, I talk to our people, and I don't talk about, I've trained over 1,000 athletes in mixed martial arts, fighters, championship fighters, football players, you name it. I've been in there with them, trained them, done well myself with things, but I always talk about, man, I've ruptured my L4, L5, S1 4 times. I've ruptured my L1, L2 twice. I've herniated C2, 3, 4, 5. I've broken this 6 times. I've dislocated this. I've torn this. I've broken that. I lead with my scars. The scars are what makes me, scars and the vulnerability, what makes me special, not the highlights.
That's a really interesting way to look at things, because I agree with you. Everybody's different. Everybody has scars, whether they're on the inside or the outside, or sometimes both. And you can't run away from them because they're there. Mm-hmm. It's so much easier to hide them, but you get so much more out of life when you're just there. Perry always says she wants people to see her as a person first, and then her disability is just a part of her. It's not all of her. And I know sometimes when people meet somebody with a physical disability, you know, they pull away their children, don't look, don't say anything. You know, we've had such odd reactions that we get used to. And, you know, if somebody would come up to somebody and say, you know, what is that? You know, you're using a machine to breathe with. What does that mean? How does that feel? You know, she talks to them, especially kids. Sometimes are curious.
I want to know immediately, yeah. We have a lot of amputees in our foundation. And one woman, Kirstie Ennis, who's lost her leg, she's had 45 surgeries. She fractured 7 vertebrae, 5 amputations now of her leg. And little kids are always, people are always staring at her, and the kids will just walk up and say, oh, what's that? And we love it. Kirstie lights up when that happens. I light up when people come over and talk to her about it. And that's what, again, this is what makes us different, right? Being a regular face in the crowd, that's not for me.
Right.
It's not for you, right? That's not what we were destined for.
How did you start this foundation? Like, what gave you the idea of this is something that you need to do, not just want to do, but you need to do it?
For my own depression, I've got to be of service to other people. It helps me out daily. So I've always had, this is my 4th charity. But this one really got legs because it was military, and it just, I had done one for children who were, who with disabilities. It was called Touchdown Dreams. I did that for a while. Did something else where we got letters that were sent to Santa Claus when I was living in the city, and went and picked them up, and it fulfilled what these little kids that were in bad areas in New York were wishing for, and went and delivered them on Christmas Eve with a whole bunch of other people. And we just started doing that. I tried to start a foundation in New York City where getting jobs for homeless people. Like, I've always done things, but this year with the vets and the players, it was natural. Being in MMA, I've gotten to train troops all over the world. Being in football, I've seen so many players retire and just get lost afterwards. And I got a big voice. God blessed me with the ability to communicate. So, and to use my heart in the right way. So I wanted to do that, to try and, you know, help these people and save people who really deserve to be reminded of that their greatness wasn't the uniform, but what lies behind the ribcage.
Now, you started your career as a writer.
Yeah.
Would you prefer writing or being in front of the camera?
Television. No. My ADD crushes me with the writing.
Right.
But I was doing anything I could to make, you know, I was living in New York City and it took me over 10 years to get a full-time job. So yeah, television paid better. it allowed me to get out of some of those really bad areas.
Wow. And you're doing television, you're on shows right now, like you mentioned, Ballers, and you're on a few others. Would you rather play yourself? Because sometimes you're playing yourself and sometimes you're playing a character. Would you rather?
I'm always playing, even the acting roles I get, I'm always playing myself. I think because I'm such a character, they're like, we don't need to make him anybody else. So just about every act, every role except for one, I've been myself, and not even like a heightened version of myself. I'm that crazy out there. Yeah. So I have that much fun. It's been great though.
Is there anything that you want to do TV wise or, you know, something like that, acting wise, that you haven't done yet?
Probably like a host a late night talk show. Something like that. People laugh. I talk from the heart. I am, you know, I enjoy the motivational speaking end of things. I'm writing a book right now that is going to come out next year, Father's Day, where it's kind of like almost a self-help book for the everyday dude, where I'm trying to get the everyday person to be more vulnerable and understand that this isn't the strength, it's the vulnerability that makes you strong. And especially in today's day, when we talk about mental health, I'm really trying to be a powerful voice for those in the mental health world.
So what is your best advice for somebody who needs to do something to get out of their own mind and to try to help others? What should they do? Is there a website that they can contact your foundation?
You can
involved?
figure out in your own heart. Like when I started the first couple, I was broker than broke living in New York. I was just like, man, you'll know what speaks to you. You know, if working with children speaks to you, call a local hospital, ask how you can help. Look online of local, local charities or foundations that help children. Brainstorm. You know, we all have a certain amount of, we all know how to do research because we went to school, right? So we could figure that out. Right. If it's veterans, call veterans foundations, look it up. Cold call. It's just, if you want your own thing, see who you could help out. I literally started, like I said, I would, even like for me, one of the basic things I did, I went to the 99-cent store. And I do this with my son all the time. I go to the 99-cent store and buy like essentials like soap, toothbrush, toothpaste, handy wipes, Band-Aids, things like that. And I put together these little like gift bags and go out. My son and I will bring out 10 of them or 20 of them to homeless people and just try to give them a bag of essentials, if you will. That anything that, the more you could be of service to others and live a life of gratitude, the better life is going to be for us.
Your son is very lucky to have you for a father.
Oh, I'm lucky to have him.
How old is he?
17.
Oh, wow. What does he want to do?
Football.
Of course. Wonder where he got that from.
I would like him to do the other end, like what you're doing. He said, Dad, I want to go raise $600,000 for a foundation, right, for a charity. I'd be like, that, we're talking, son.
So Perry did have a lot of help from, her teammates, but Perry has been the inspiration. So Perry has guided us to get to this point where we could do that. And it's funny, I'm sure you think also, no matter how much you do, it's never enough. It's always like, I want more, I want to do more.
But it is. Like, that's one of the things I also had to, you're right, it's great that you guys bring that up. I had to check myself, because if you're always thinking it's not enough, not enough, not enough, you're never going to be happy. So you work better from a place of happiness and satisfaction than you do if you're always thinking it's not enough, it's not enough, and it's not enough. So I'm going to tell you, Perry, love yourself up. Be proud of yourself. Understand what you've done to help others. And, taking your situation, and you didn't hide from it. Instead, you use it to empower other people. You are a blessing, and you should love yourself up for that. Always like meeting gangsters like you, Perry.